Let's see how we can use client tags for indirection in our project. Like I mentioned earlier, client tags can be variables that we can share between different windows in our project. So we can actually use that client tag in multiple different windows. So here I have a client tag in my designer. It's called area, and the value is processing. So essentially I have two areas of my plan, processing and packaging. You see in my tags above, there are two folders here, processing and packaging. If I expand these folders, I have tags. I have the exact same set of tags with the same names in the processing that I do in the packaging, as you can see here. So what I want to do is be able to have screens in my system that, one set of screens that will be indirect based on the area that I've chosen. So if you look at my top in the project browser, I have three windows, a real-time window, history window, and a docked window. The docked window is my navigation between real-time and history. My history window is just a simple trend. And my real-time window shows the live values of the level and the temperature. And that's of the tags that exist in these folders. So right now, the client tag is set to area, or set to processing, and all of my windows are looking at the processing folder here. So I'm looking at the tags within this folder. So the idea of using the client tag is that every client that's open is going to have a different value of this tag, or they can have a different value of this tag. So I can have two clients open, one looking at processing and one looking at packaging, and the screens will show the different values because of that client tag. So let's see how we can actually use that tag now for indirection. So on my real-time window, on the root container of the window, if I right-click and go to my custom properties, I have a custom property called area, that's a string. That custom property, if I look down the bottom left in my property list, it is bound to the area tag, the area client tag that we have. So that's how I'm bringing that value processing into this window. Then on my components, like the level, the value of the level component is linked to an indirect tag where the first part of that, this curly brace 1, is referencing the area property of that window. So I'm going to either the packaging or processing based on that client tag. That's how I'm actually bringing that into the indirect bindings. Then I'm going to level PV after that. The temperature, same idea, is it's going to the temp PV, but again, inside the area that we have selected by that client tag. The same thing is also true for history. This graph is indirect based on the area that we have there. So I have the same custom property on the root container area with it bound to that client tag. So I can go to a third window here, and I can right-click on the root container, add a custom property that is called area, that's a string. Then simply take my client tag, drag it down to the area property, it's going to link it to that. Now you see processing, and I could use that within this window. So if I want to use it to maybe control a temperature high set point, bring a numeric text field in here, and I'm going to link the value integer of the numeric text field to an indirect tag where I first select the tag, so maybe temperature highest set point, and then the first part where it says packaging, I'm going to remove that, use the link over here to bring in the area custom property, which is now going to put a reference to that in my tag path. Go ahead and press OK, and you can see that this is now pointing to the value within that folder. Now we would have to let the operators have some way of changing that area tag. So typically what you can do is put a drop-down list on the docked window. So I put a drop-down list here. I'm going to go down to my data property and set the actually open up the value, the dataset viewer, by clicking on the little magnifying glass and add two rows with the top right button. The first one being processing, and the second one being packaging. I don't really need the first column, the value, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the 0 and just simply remove that column by deleting it over here on the right. And now I just have one column, press OK, and now I can see if I go into preview mode, press F5, I can click on the drop-down list and see processing and packaging. If I click on processing, then you see that the selected string value is that value. Now I'm going to link this directly to the area client tag. So I'm going to drag client tag down to the selected string value. It's going to be bound bidirectionally. So now if I change this from processing to packaging and go to a different window, like main window 1, you can see that's pointing to a value of 100. Again, going back to docked window, change it back to processing, come back to my main window, you see it's now 75. So all of the windows are going to look at these values based on what we have selected. So another way I can show you this is if I change it right here, packaging you'll see that the references on these tanks and the LED display change. If I go back to processing, you see it changes again. So I can use client tags as a way of making my entire project indirect, where I can control which area I'm looking at in a single location with a single drop-down list or a single component, and all of my indirect links will update for me automatically.